How often do you let your heart rule your head? You throw all logic, common sense and probably money out of the window to pursue something just for the love of it. Well, that's where this bike comes in, the One Inbred, the 26-inch wheel version. On paper, compared to modern bikes, it really doesn't stack up. It's heavy, it's unrefined, the geometry is totally outdated, and, well, the wheels are far too small. But damn it, despite all of that, I really do love it. And if you're wondering why, is it nostalgia or maybe just straight delusion? Well, that's a very good question, and I'll answer that in a minute. Inbreds earned a real cult following in the UK mountain bike scene during the 2000s. They were cheap, cheerful, and since they were made of steel, they could handle pretty much any abuse thrown at them. I lost it after one for years, but kept talking myself out of it, mostly because I had plenty of other better bikes already in the arsenal. But then, during the pandemic, I saw this one for sale just a couple of miles from home, and I couldn't resist. I guess N+1 finally won over. But why does the Inbred mean so much to me? Well, the man who designed the bike, Brant Richards, had a pretty significant impact on my early days of fixing bikes at home. I remember a magazine article, it was probably an MB UK, discussing how he often worked from his garden shed when designing his bikes for On1. And it seemed like the coolest thing ever. If Brant could design a bike as iconic as the Inbred in his shed, then there was no reason I couldn't work on bikes in mine too. It just made entry into the whole industry feel that much more accessible. Side note, I actually got to meet him at Bespoke in Manchester a couple of years ago. That's me, obviously, with the red face. I must have fanboyed pretty hard that day though, because he asked that I didn't follow him home. So it's fair to say I wear the rosiest of rose-tinted glasses when looking at this bike. It's not just a collection of parts to me. It represents a defining moment in my life as a cyclist and as a maker. The problem is, it just doesn't suit the type of riding I do these days. And to be perfectly honest, it really doesn't fit me in its current setup. The front end seems much too low for long days out, just like an old school cross-country bike. The gearing means it struggles with hills when it's loaded up, and it lacks any decent cargo mounts for carrying bags or bottles, especially on the forks, so I'm normally left running bulky panniers on the rear. All of this means it spends a lot of time being neglected and overlooked in favour of the gravel bike. But I want to change all of that. I want to turn it into a dedicated bikepacking rig with an improved fit and plenty of luggage mounting options. A bike that is always ready for a random midweek night away. One that puts a real smile on my face, like when I first started biking. Now, I have worked as an engineer and I've been around the bike industry in various forms for a long time. So I do feel pretty comfortable tinkering, brazing and modifying bikes. But I really don't consider myself an expert by any means. And I'm not trying to create the perfect bike here. Let's face it, a 26-inch mountain bike from the early 2000s is never going to be that. I'm just trying to understand what actually matters, for me personally, on a bike designed for bikepacking and longer rides, and in the process, give this Inbred the life it deserves. The first step, the low-hanging fruit, I guess you could say, before I light the brazing torch, will simply be experimenting with the riding position. As I mentioned, the front end is really low. If I'm in the saddle for more than a couple of hours, I develop aches and pains all over, especially in my wrists and in my neck, which is obviously no good on a longer ride. So I'm going to switch up the position from the current one, then go for a day in the hills to test out that change. I'm looking forward to this bit because it means I get to buy new parts. One reason I'm becoming more interested in this side of things, other than the fact I'm getting older, I turned 40 last year, is that I also run a lot. And with running, good form is super important to help avoid injuries and fatigue. It's something I'm constantly trying to work on and improve. For some reason though, I've never paid much attention to it when I'm in the saddle, and I've been riding for over 20 years. I've always just carried on regardless. But since this bike will be both heavy with gear and ridden for long periods, and because I'm not as flexible as I used to be, its success definitely relies on improving the fit in some way. So in the next video in this series, I'll make the first big change and test whether a different riding position can solve this bike's biggest issue. If you click the card up here, it'll take you there. I've always wanted to say that. Okay, see you in the next one. Here, this is it, start it. Ooh, so cold. Yeah, there's someone there. This garden. Start that back. Me. A bike that's ready. A bike that's always ready. God damn it. Well, the man who designed. So it's fair to say. Oh no. It's all gone to shit.